Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we are going to go over the new version of Daylight, the 2024 version. Up here right now, we have the Legacy version. There was a single, very significant change to Daylight, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to compare and contrast both the Legacy version and the 2024 version. We're going to talk about the differences. We're going to talk about what effects that had on the game and all that. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, here is the Legacy version. It is a third level spell usable by clerics, druids, paladins, rangers, sorcerers, Circle of Land, Grassland Druids, Light Domain Clerics, and the Celestial Warlock. Lots of classes that can use this. Back in the day, we gave this a B. I'm looking over at another screen that's got my the thing on it. If I put my finger up here, there we go. Up over here, you can see the grading scale. We gave this a B. So, third level, one action, 60-foot area, 60-foot range. Verbal somatic, lasted for an hour, no concentration, was evocation. So you made 60-foot radius sphere of light. I'm gonna emphasize that word, light. Spreads out from a point you choose within range. The sphere is bright light and sheds dim light for an additional 60 feet. So 60 feet radius of bright light and then another 60 feet of dim light. If you choose a point on an object you are holding or one that isn't being worn or carried, the light shines from the object and moves with it. Completely covering the object, then stops. So if any of the spells, and this is another integral part of this spell, if any of this spell's area overlaps with an area of darkness created by a third level or lower, that spell that created the darkness is dispelled. This spell is not dispelled, but that spell is dispelled. This is important because darkness is a second level spell, not a third level spell. So daylight will immediately get rid of darkness. And again, back in the day when I reviewed this, I said when you need this spell, you need this spell. And now it's bright light. Now let's look at the 2024 version. And here is the change. It's still a third level spell, still usable by clerics, druids, paladins, rangers. So no ranger here. Oh, there's ranger. We got the ranger. We got the sorcerer. We got the light domain cleric. We've got the celestial warlock. All the same classes. Get it. Still one action. Still a 60-foot range with a 60-foot radius. Still lasts for an hour. No concentration. Still evocation. Now, here's the change. For the duration, sunlight spreads from a point within range and fills a 60-foot radius sphere. The sunlight's area is bright light and sheds dim light for an additional 60 feet. So it is bright sunlight for 60 feet, and it is bright sunlight, it is dim sunlight for an additional 60 feet. Let me repeat that. For the duration, sunlight spreads from a point within range and fills a 60-foot radius. The sunlight's area is bright light and sheds dim light. So I would say that the 60-foot area is sunlight. The further 60-foot area outside of the initial 60-foot radius sphere is dim light, but not sunlight. But it's sunlight. Now, that's a big difference. This says a sphere of light. This says sunlight, which is a big deal. That's a big deal because there are a lot of creatures that are sensitive in one way or another to sunlight. So alternately, you can cast this on an object. All that stuff has not changed, except now they use the word emanation. And again, it can get rid of a darkness spell created with a spell of third level or lower. That other spell is dispelled. Your light spell is not, but that spell is. So again, when you need this, you need it because a lot of times characters get stuck with darkness. And there are a lot of enemies and creatures that can see in darkness. They can see in darkness, and they can see in the darkness spell. Now, this is not the darkness spell. The darkness spell, however, stops dark vision. But there are creatures that have things like devil sight and special sight and things like that can see in it. So they may cast darkness around themselves and be able to see in it, and you can't see them. Now you pull this out, and that shenanigan is done. Now, the other thing that is really good about this is the fact that it now says sunlight. So doing a search in here for monsters and the word sunlight reveals a whole bunch of creatures that are susceptible to sunlight. The variant shadow, the Fenseer Devourer. So if we click on that, there it is right there. It's a type of huge celestial, and it is sunlight hypersensitive. So when it starts its turn in sunlight, it must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or have the petrified condition. That's nasty. Shadow Duplicate, Snow Maiden in the Curse of Strahd, Kobold Vampire, Darrow, Savant, on and on. Shadow Mastiff. So if we click on the Shadow Mastiff, here it is right here. While in bright light created by sunlight, the Shadow Mastiff is disadvantaged on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. So if you needed to really knock this thing down, you would do that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of nasty creatures, the Nosferatu from Van Richter's Guide, Yethhound, all kinds of nasty creatures in here that you could use this on. Deathlock Whites, all that. Now, I did look up vampire, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of vampires now since the new book came out. And in the new book, so let's look up vampire spawn. In the new book, it says the vampire takes 20 radiant damage if it starts its turn in sunlight. While in sunlight, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. So it is going to be taking tons of damage. Now, it is not vulnerable to radiant damage, but it is going to take damage every round. So you could throw this out. It's going to have disadvantage on all of its attack rolls, ability checks, and it's going to be taking damage at the start of its turn. The vampire, here it is. Same thing. Sunlight takes 20 radiant damage at the start of its turn, while it's in sunlight, has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. So that's a big deal too. And then we have the Umbral Lord, which also has exactly the same thing. So it is a level 15 creature, and it takes damage too. So those are great things. A lot of other creatures, the Knoll Vampire, Vampire Weakness, Sunlight Hypersensitivity, takes 20 radiant damage when it starts its turn, has disadvantage, yada, yada, yada. So that, when you want it, when you need it, and you need to use it. Now, I got the creatures here. So I did a search for darkness and monsters, and we've got creatures like the Imp, who, here's the Imp, and the Imp can see in magical darkness. Now, it doesn't have a darkness spell, but it can see in magical darkness. So if there is darkness, it'll get rid of it. Black Abishai, lot of different creatures. Resmir, Drow Shadowblade, and the Drow actually could cast some darkness. So there's darkness right there, and it also has Devil Sight. This is from, I think, which book is this from? This is from Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. So this one right here can cast darkness, goes in the darkness, can see in its own darkness. So you may have some trouble going after this, and this is not a trivial creature. It's a challenge rating 11. Because of this, most parties would have trouble going after that creature. Daylight would really help. Really, really help. Darkling, Elder. Lots of different creatures in here that can see in darkness. Dark Weaver, Planescape, Shadowy Duplicate, on and on and on. So that one very small change made this spell very good. So we are going to give this spell now, because it says sunlight. It essentially does all the same things, except now it's sunlight. We're going to give it a bump of a B+. That is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.